Princeton University Press Audio presents Michelangelo, God's Architect, the story of his final years and greatest masterpiece, by William E. Wallace. Read by Simon Callow. To Paul Borolsky, who taught me the value of a good story. Preface. Having written a biography of Michelangelo, I thought I was done with the artist. But as Leonardo famously mused, "Tell me if anything is ever done." And as my mentor Howard Hibbard once remarked, there is no such thing as a definitive book or a final word on great art or artists. Indeed, as I wrote the final pages of my biography, I became increasingly drawn to the poignant narrative of an aging artist confronting the greatest challenge of his creative life, to build New St. Peter's, all the while knowing he would never see it to completion. I think I needed to pass the age of 60 before I could write a book about Michelangelo in old age, and that means that I've incurred many years of personal and scholarly debts. I would like to thank Nicholas Terpstra, Elizabeth Cropper, and the board members of the Renaissance Society of America for the invitation to deliver the Josephine Waters Bennett Lecture in 2014, which permitted me to sketch the broad ideas for the book and to publish them in Renaissance Quarterly. For the rare privilege of visiting the Pauline Chapel on multiple occasions, I am grateful to Antonio Paolucci, Arnold Nesselrath, and Marco Pratelli. I would like to thank Vitale Zanketin for an afternoon spent in some normally inaccessible parts of St. Peter's, to Richard Goldthwaite, Eve Borsuk, Peggy Haynes, and Joseph Connors for always asking the most penetrating questions, to Jim Saslow for many questions answered, especially about Michelangelo's poetry, to Paul and Ruth Barolsky, Ralph Lieberman, Maria Ruvolt, and Deborah Parker for many years of conversation regarding everything Michelangelo and Michelangelesque, to Sarah McHam for first permitting me to write an essay employing a fictionalized voice, to Eric Denker and Meredith Gill, Livio Pestilli and Wendy Imperial, Jack Freiberg and Franco Di Fazio, Michael Rock, Andrew McCormick, and Nelda Ferrace for sharing Michelangelo in Italy and always eating well afterward, and to Judith Martin for my title. 4 persons deserve special thanks: Roger Crum for his attentive labour on the entire manuscript, Eric Denker for being my longest-standing friend, art historical and otherwise, Elizabeth Fagan for being my wife, companion, and invaluable editor of 45 years, and Paul Borolsky, to whom I warmly dedicate this book. Of particular value was the fall 2014, spent at Villa Itati as a visiting senior professor. I am especially grateful to the then-director Lino Pertile and to Anna Benstead for extending to me their generous and supremely gracious hospitality. Thanks to them and a wonderful group of fellows that included Lucio Biasiore, Francesco Borghesi, Dario Brancato, Gregorio Escobar, Cyril Gerbron, Jessica Gotals, Caitlin Henningsen, Joost Kaiser, Rebecca Long, Francesco Lucioli, Lia Marchi, Laura Maretti, Alessandro Polcri, Sean Roberts, Sarah Ross, Paolo Ugolini, and Susan Weiss. I was stimulated to write large portions of the current manuscript. Needless to say, but it is well worth saying, nonetheless, members of the staff and the Itati family were equally instrumental in offering the ideal conditions in which to ruminate about growing old, a luxury Michelangelo never enjoyed. My thanks are extended especially to Alan Greco, Jonathan Nelson, and Michael Rock. Over the years I've been blessed with wonderful friends and colleagues, and a few exceptional students who have done much to shape my views of Michelangelo. The following have all contributed, in small or larger ways, to the present book. My gratitude is not adequately expressed in the following impersonal, alphabetical listing: James Anno, Simonetta Brandolini Dada, Bernardine Barnes, Cammy Brothers, Caroline Bruselius, Jill Carrington, Sylvia Catiti, Joseph Connors, Bill Cook, Roy Erickson, Emily Fenishel, Meredith Gill, Marsha Hall, Emily Hanson, Eric Hoop, Paul Ioannidis, Nathaniel Jones, Stephanie Kaplan, Ross King, Margaret Kuntz, Tom Martin, the late Jerry McAdams, Erin Sutherland Minter, Renee Malkahi, Mike Orlovsky, John Paoletti, Deborah Parker, Gary Radke, Cheryl Rice, Andrea Rizzi, Charles Robertson, Patricia Rubin, Carl Smith, Tammy Smithers, and last but not least, since I am sensitive to alphabetical discrimination, Shelley Zuro. I would also like to extend thanks to Sarah Braver, Hannah Weir, Huo Zhao, and Betha Whitlow for their assistance with the book's illustrations. It is an honor and privilege to publish a book with a former student.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?